What's up everyone, and welcome to this video in my humble studio, as you can barely make out with the current setup. But like everything on this channel, it's still a work in progress, and as I get better and I'm able to make things a little more streamlined and professional, you will reap the benefits, I assure you. So for this video, I am going to be talking about 5 reasons why you should not go to college. And if you're just wanting to hear the 5 reasons, I'll go ahead and give them to you now so you don't have to listen to me blabber on for however long I blabber on about. Alright, so 1, you're still trying to find yourself. 2, you're not sure of what degree you want to pursue. 3, your degree has no demand in the marketplace. 4, you think trades might be a good option for you. And 5, you're concerned about student loans. Now you may ask yourself, who is this guy to tell me whether or not I should go to college? Well, one thing that you should know is that I worked at a major university for several years, over half a decade. I actually went to school to get my master's degree to pursue higher education, like actually working at a university. And part of my job was actually to call students out of state to tell them to reconsider going to that institution. We weren't doing this out of some sort of, mean way to prevent students from going to college. We were actually calling them to let them know that, listen, your financial aid that you're going to receive is probably not going to be able to help you cover the full cost of attending this institution. So think wisely before you decide to come here. At the same time, a lot of students that were coming to this particular college were coming from out of state. And so naturally, if you're going to go out of state, you're going to be paying more than you would in state. Though for some of these students, for them to come to the university, it was actually cheaper for them arriving out of state. So keep that in mind. So anyway, I'm going to get to the first on the list here. So if you're still trying to find yourself, a lot of times college is marketed as this idea of, oh, well, go to the university, find yourself, you'll figure out what you want to do then, follow your heart and the money will follow. I would not necessarily heed that advice. If you're 18 and you just got out of high school and you're not sure what you want to do with your career, I don't think it would permanently hurt you to take a year off, go get a job, work or whatever, and just see what it's like out in the real world. Or maybe go ahead and decide to go to a community college. So let's say you don't want to go straight off to a university, take out thousands of dollars in student loan debt, and that would not be the worst thing in the world. So if you do decide to try to find yourself when you're 18, which, hey, it's perfectly reasonable, there are things that you can do. There's always the military. You can always join AmeriCorps if you want to stay around the U.S., or you can even join the Peace Corps for a couple of years and they'll give you a lump sum. I think it's like between $7,000 and $10,000 when you're finished. And you can use those 2 years to mature, to travel the world, to better yourself, and at the same time not take out an excessive amount of student loan debt. The second item I have on my list is about your degree, I guess. So if you're trying to think about which degree that you want, you're not sure what you want to pursue, you're not sure if you want to be a doctor, a lawyer, a teacher, or whatever, just take some time. When you go to college, it should be to the point where you know what you want to major in, and what you want to pursue. You don't want to go to college, take out a bunch of student loan debt, and end up tens of thousands of dollars in debt when you're 22, and your first salary is going to be less than the amount of student loan debt you owe. So you're probably going to be better off if you wait 2 years, have no student loan debt, or better yet, go into like AmeriCorps, Peace Corps, or you can even do something in the military. They have all kinds of benefits for you there. But just think long and hard, because if you decide to go to a university and take out tens of thousands of dollars before you're even 22 years old, you're going to be looking at a lot of money that you cannot get rid of via bankruptcy. Student loans are the only form of debt that you cannot just have removed from bankruptcy. And the reason that is because what was happening is a lot of people would take out student loans, max out their student loans, and then file bankruptcy and have them cleared out in 7 years. So the government finally stopped that. So this isn't necessarily you shouldn't go to a college. Like if you want to go to a community college, that's probably more than fine, because it's going to be a lot cheaper. You can still live at home, and there's nothing wrong with living at home while you're 18 and you're trying to go to school and you're trying to save some money and working a part-time job. A quick tangent, as I seem to be rather fond of doing in these videos, is that if you actually work 20 hours a week, you're actually more likely to do better in college than if you don't work, because it provides structure and it gives you a point and purpose, and it seems to help out with finances, obviously. And another thing that I have written down here is, as I said before, Your degree has no demand. So before you decide to pursue a degree, think about if people actually want to pay you for that degree. Are you going to get a degree that you can spend a few hours on YouTube learning the same stuff? Like, is any particular study worth $40,000? I think the average student loan debt right now is like $37,000 for students, and that's just undergrad. It's even more if you go to a private institution. So, the thing about that, like, your salary, I'm not saying it's right or wrong, I'm just saying this, the way the economy works is pretty much how valuable society thinks of your job. And so that's just one way to look at it. And if you get a degree and there's absolutely no demand for your degree at all, or your degree requires you to go on to get a master's degree or a PhD, that's something that you're going to need to take into account and plan accordingly. For example, if you want to be a psychologist, you're not going to get a 4-year degree in psychology and start getting jobs. You're going to need at least a master's degree, and preferably a PhD. Not to mention now that there's a lot of degree inflation, because everybody, was told to go to school, to go to college, so everybody went to college. Back in the 70s and 80s, not very many people went to college, so it's kind of a big deal if you just went and got a degree. Now that's not the case. Pretty much, an associate's degree is probably equivalent to a high school diploma. A bachelor's is an old associate's degree, and all the way up to now where we have postdocs. You actually have degrees beyond PhDs. So do some research, look into different resources, find out which degrees are in demand, and news alert, the STEM fields, with the exception perhaps of biology, are in a lot more demand than non-STEM related fields. And if you're trying to pursue a career where you want to go and help people, that is perfectly noble. I highly recommend you doing that. But think about, what are some ways that you could help people in addition to your career. Don't necessarily make your whole career your point and purpose in life. You can always find a good job that pays well, provides you a comfortable lifestyle, and you can use the money that you make from that well-paying job to in turn go and help other people. For example, if you really want to help someone, spend a year or two learning how to code. If you go through various online schools like Launch School, you can learn to become a really, really outstanding software engineer, probably more so than many college grads. And you can take that substantial salary. I think their average salary is well over $110,000 for their capstone graduates, and you can help a lot of people with that. So who do you think you're going to be able to help more as opposed to going through and getting that kind of degree? Someone that you're trying to alleviate some form of suffering for through a degree that doesn't have much demand, or you can take all of those additional resources that you get and decide to spend that money towards benefiting yourself and society. Something that I strongly, highly recommend you take into account. Sorry, this video is a little off the cuff, but you have to deal with it. All right, so another thing, keep in mind that trades make good money. Now, granted, like certain trades may not be the flashiest, the most high status job or whatever, but a lot of these guys that are in trades, they're making a lot more money than people with college degrees. It's not, surprising for a trades person to be making at least over 50 grand a year, sometimes 80, 90, 100 grand a year, especially if they own their own business. Now, they drive it. Sorry about this. I should have turned this off. I have really high production values, as you can see. So these trades guys, they're actually making really good money. And did they go to school and spend $40,000 getting in debt that they can't get rid of until they're like 30? No. They went to a vocational college, or they just got a job at some place, learned the trade, but most of them, I'm pretty sure, had to go to some sort of vocational school. And now they're making really good money with very little to no student loan debt. So keep that in mind. And last but not least is the student loans. If you're not aware, I believe student loan debt right now is around $1.7 to $1.8 trillion. It's a lot of money. As universities have their costs increase, student loan debt has increased as well. So if you're trying to not go to school and take on a bunch of student loan debt, that's one reason to maybe think about this before you decide to go to a university. There is always the option of going to a community college first and then that university. Now, if you already have like a full ride scholarship or you have an athletic scholarship, by all means go. You're not too worried about those additional finances. But just make sure, even if you go to a university or a college with a athletic scholarship, Try to avoid student loans if possible. Like, I've actually seen a lot of athletes, take out an excessive amount of student loans and spend it on a variety of things that weren't necessarily related to their curriculum and to their education. And this goes for other students as well, not just athletes. But I just remember that because we had specific programs where we were trying to reach out to different groups of the student body. So keep that in mind. And once again, the 5 different things that I highly suggest you think about, and perhaps some reasons why you should not go to college, are: if you're still trying to find yourself before you go to college. If you're 20 years old and you start college, it's not the end of the world. As that Family Guy meme would say, big whoop, want to fight about it. You'll be a lot better off if you take 2 years to mature, to advance yourself, experience the world, see what's out there, see what the real world is like, and then go to college. You'll be 2 years wiser. You have a little bit more worldly ways about you, and you would actually have a little bit more of understanding of what you want to pursue. If you're not sure of your degree, do some research, find the degrees that are in demand. They're probably going to be more difficult, so you're going to have to spend a lot of time studying, but it's going to be worth it in the end. Those 4 years, they may seem like a long time while you're in college, but trust me, they will go by fast, and before you know it, you're going to be looking back and wishing that you had a degree that was actually in demand. Some of you can get an internship while you're still in college, and that internship is going to be paying you like 30, 40 grand while your friends are still trying to find a job. So keep this in mind. And additionally, keep in mind that you want to pursue a degree that has demand. If you get a degree that no one wants to hire you for, you're going to be looking for a job for forever and finding some kind of job that has nothing to do with the degree. So I would ask you, is it worth it to pursue a degree that you can't even get a job for that specific thing, or you have to go back to graduate school to get another master's degree? Now, if that's your plan, if that's something that you want to do, and you've researched it and you realize that you're going to have to go to graduate school, keep in mind that you can pursue graduate assistantships. They are extremely hard to get, they're very rare, but the university will waive your tuition and you'll just be responsible for fees and your books. And they'll even pay you to go to school. So that's something that you can do to save a lot of money. However, if you're going to go for a graduate school, you're going to have to take the GRE, you're going to have to get admitted, and then you're going to be pursuing a career that's going to take another 2 years before you can even start it. So you're going to have like 6 to 7 years of college just to get an entry-level position. And the doctors go to school for 7 years, so think about that. Don't overlook trades. Trades are more than sufficient to live a really good life. When some people are trying to get a job, a lot of these guys at trades, they've been working for 4 years. If you're making 50 grand a year at 18 as an electrician or more, in 4 years, that's 200 grand. You could live at home for 4 years, like your other buddies or something going to college, stay at home for 4 years as an electrician, save up 200 grand, help your folks out for a little bit for staying at home, and then you can go buy a house at 22. So just think about this before you go. And last but not least, student loans. They're at $1.57 trillion, or I think actually it's up to 1.75, something like that. It's outrageous. But those are going to keep going up, and you do not want to have a bunch of student loans that you're going to have to pay off for the rest of your life. And if you can avoid that, you'll be better off for it. So let me know what you think about this video. Like and subscribe, comment down below, Shaka Bro, all that good stuff. Thanks, and Cadwin out.